My name is Jordan Simmons, and I just recently ran the Seattle Marathon on December 1st, 2024. It was my first marathon, and it was more fulfilling than I ever would imagine. Now, I've done some hard things like play Street Fighter 6 against some of the best people in Seattle, and I just recently won some tournaments. But to be honest, I was not prepared for how hard this marathon would be. The conditions were great. It was just me, the city of Seattle, the other runners, and my thoughts going through the whole race. In the end, I cramped up pretty bad and pretty much bonked, but I was happy to finish. Overall, I didn't meet my original goal of sub 3 hours or even 3:05, but sub 4 hours was definitely one of the main goals when I signed up. So I'm very pleased that I got a 3 hour 47 and 9 second mark. I ended up being in about the top 18 percentile as far as finishers, and pretty close for my own age group, which is about the 20 percentile. Overall, I was very pleased that I finished, and it definitely was very challenging. And I'm feeling the effects right now. If you look at the splits, I started out pretty slow to the advice of many other influencers and family that have ran marathons before. Started out pretty slow, well below the pace that I was shooting for. So I ran the first mile at 8:11, and I had a really low heart rate of 131. The next mile after that was 7:31. That was mile two. Mile three was 7:12. Mile four was 7:06. Mile 5 was 7:11, and mile 6 was 7:24. So those were pretty good times, and I was making good pace. Essentially, I wanted to try to hover around that area. Leading up to the halfway mark, there is a variance in paces. I definitely felt the uphillness of the course. It was very difficult, and I was trying to navigate using my goos, my gels, as you know the deal. It's a lot harder to do it in a race compared to doing it casually when you're training. So that had an impact later on. I didn't have the correct fueling, so that was something that I would do differently. And as you can see, towards the end of the race, had some really abysmal paces and times, but I was struggling really bad, hadn't cramped as bad as that ever. Part of it was me not breaking into shoes prior, and then the other issue was my feeling, which is something that I'll change. Just some notes for myself. Always properly prepare. If you don't, you're preparing to fail. Although I wouldn't look at the marathon as a failure because I finished and I did push through at the end, compared to my training, I didn't do enough of game shot, game spots, as my dad would always say. I didn't replicate the course enough, and I also didn't properly fuel during the race. So that's something that I'm focusing on for next time. Another note that I have for myself is just really embracing the pain and also the victories that come with that pain. If you could feel pain, you're still alive. And it's just facing adversity and pushing through that does wonders. That's more than any personal best or personal record. It's just being able to embrace the small victories and focus for the next time. I really enjoyed that process towards the end of the marathon. And for myself and many others, this may be the most important one. If you are not having fun, and not in the senses that it has to be a good time, you can even hate it. But if you're not having fun, then there's something wrong with the steps you're taking, with the training, and even just the race itself. Marathon and running is something that not everyone can do. I realized this even when I was in agony and pain and barely could even walk. I knew this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life. And that made me have so much more fun and appreciation. I didn't think about the time, didn't think about the paces. I just wanted to have more fun. And you may be wondering, what's next for me? What do I have in store? Well, I'm hoping to get into the Chicago Marathon for 2025. I'll find out about that December 12th. as well as the New York Marathon. I would like to race that if possible, but I haven't had much information as far as 2025 yet. And last but not least, got to get the run back with the Seattle Marathon. Haven't decided if I want to try out the half this time, but I definitely loved the hometown race. It was ran very well, no pun intended. And I just really liked it a lot, and I loved the vibe. So it's Seattle Marathon for sure. Ultimately, my dream is to complete the Abbott World Marathon Challenge. I want to race all six majors eventually and qualify for Boston is part of that. But uh, yeah, I want to try to run at least one or two of these if possible next year. I in Chicago. And, with this, it's not listed on there, but as an ode to, my woman, I would love to someday race or run or train in Africa. So, in Eritrea or Ethiopia, would love the opportunity to get some insight from some of the best athletes on this planet. Really appreciate everyone tuning in for this. And we're going to do a lot of big things in 2025. So thank you so much. Yeah. And last but not least, we're still going to get that marathon on Mars. Thank you for the support, everyone.